Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Give 'em Heck podcast. I'm Brian. This is your host, Penny, and I'm very interested to see where we take this because you said you think I'm going to like this
I
episode.
think you will.
You piqued my curiosity.
I got lots of questions that need answers.
Oh, well, I think I might be your guy.
Okay, perfect. I love that. So I just want to say welcome to all of our regular viewers and welcome to any new viewers that are joining us. And again, as always, I'm going to read our disclaimer that we are not doctors, psychologists, or counselors. We are not given any medical or psychological advice. We are just simply here to discuss real life situations to give hope, encouragement, and instill change.
Yes.
So to get started, Brian, in our last episode, which was not last week,
Yeah.
but the week before.
Yeah, apologies for that, by the way. We were going to do a podcast last weekend, but again, life,
yeah,
we had things to do, but yeah.
It's okay.
It
Here we are.
happens. Mm-hmm.
Here we are. So in that particular episode, it was called Healing in That Place of Rest.
Oh, yep.
Okay. And I asked you, what do you think of when I say healing in that place of rest?
Say when you finally gotten away from everything. I can't remember what I said last time verbatim, but
I don't either.
when you tell me like healing in that place of rest, it's like you finally have gotten to a place where you're in your comfort zone or your safe spot.
That's what you used, yeah.
Yeah, and you're recovering. You're resting.
Yes. So, in a world that is unpredictable, emotional well-being often falls by the wayside. We are taught to keep going, to suppress pain, and to move on without truly addressing what we feel. Emotions, when unprocessed or ignored, don't just vanish. They linger and oftentimes morph. They show up in physical symptoms, self-sabotaging behaviors, and broken relationships and mental health struggles. And we've talked about that several times about how those things can very much affect your physical being, but mentally and emotionally too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And feel free to interject anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So some emotion stressors that we talked about that might cause us to need emotional healing include grief or loss of a loved one, separation or divorce, loss of a job, abuse, which includes emotional, physical, verbal, etc., chronic diseases, anxiety, and depression. We also talked about why emotional healing matters.
Yeah.
We talked about that it breaks destructive cycles, reduces stress and physical illness. It builds emotional resilience and it helps us to experience deeper joy and peace.
Absolutely. And I agree with all of that.
Okay. So then we talked about why is emotional healing, what is emotional healing? One of the hardest paths to walk in life is the path to healing and road to recovery. When dealing with emotional healing, it involves acknowledging, accepting, embracing, and allowing the process of uncomfortable emotions and life experiences to recover. This emotional recovery can include empathy, self-monitoring, compassion, self-acceptance, and mindfulness. And then we had gone on a little further. We often want to control our emotional healing by reducing pain and regulating our emotions. Keep in mind that emotional healing may take weeks, months, or years, and it looks and feels different for everyone. However, the stages of emotional healing has its benefits, and 7 signs we talked about that you are emotional healing are allowing yourself to feel your emotions, you have better emotional clarity, you respond rather than react. We really talked about that one. You understand the healing process. You're ready to leave your comfort zone. You acknowledge disappointments. You allow yourself to seek support. Do you want to add anything yet?
Nope. So pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. There is no certain indication or finish line that announces you're fully healed. Emotional healing is complex, and sometimes you don't even realize that you're healing because it's gradual. Different stages and signs of emotional healing may vary from person to person, but in the end, when you continue to honor your emotional healing, you'll see how improved your overall well-being will be. So give yourself grace, time, and the ability to move forward. Sometimes the only way to get over it is to go through it.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
I love that. And then I had read a quote, and I'm going to read it again because it really wrapped everything up for that evening. So the quote was called, "Healing is the revolution," which revolution means a sudden, radical, or complete change. There is a quiet kind of courage in turning inward, in sitting with your own pain instead of running from it, in choosing to break patterns instead of passing them on. That work doesn't trend, it doesn't shout, but it changes everything. When you heal yourself, you soften the way you speak. You respond instead of react. You love your children differently. You lead differently. You build differently. The ripple effect is real. Families shift, communities shift, the planet shifts. We keep waiting for some grand external solution, but the most powerful transformation has always been personal. It's the brave decision to face what hurt you and refuse to let it harden you. There is nothing small about that work. It is sacred. It is practical. It is revolutionary.
It's a good quote.
It is.
Who'd you say it was from?
Zachary Fisher.
Yeah.
I subscribe to him because he has a lot of stuff that really hits home.
Really?
And I often say that we live our podcasts. And
yeah, we do.
During the week, I'll be reading different things because that's what I do to calm myself. Well, at least one of the things. What is that? Because you know.
I know you.
I love that. Okay, that's the calm side.
Yeah?
Is the reading.
Let's hope.
It's I'm not going to comment. It's so true, Brian. That's why you did that. I know that. You'll pay for that later. But
so if I'm not in next week's episode,
you'll know what happened. Yeah. Anyway, the calm side of me reads, and then I say that because a lot of his stuff really does hit home because of the stuff that we go through. So, did you want to add anything before we go into our podcast?
Nope.
Okay. Now, not last week, but this particular podcast, which was 2 weeks ago, about emotional healing and everything we just talked about, at the end of our podcast today, it will all come together. At first, it's going to seem like it has nothing to do with it, but it is going to wrap up in the end. So,
okay,
hang tight.
All right.
Okay. So, in today's podcast, we're going to discuss pondering questions on life. And when I say that we live our podcast, this week has been a rough one. I've been asking myself a lot of questions. And it's weird because I've been, working on all of this emotional healing. And it's, to me, you think that you're almost there. And then something God smacks you. And you're just like, oh, I thought I was over that. I guess I wasn't. Is this making sense?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I'm curious to know what.
Does that not happen to you? Has that not happened to you?
It does, but not often.
Are you not a thinker?
Am I not a thinker? No, of course I am. But I can't really say that I'm ever taken off guard by anything. If that's what you're saying. I guess I need more context.
Yeah. Okay, you'll figure it out as we go. And I don't know why, because I thought I can't say a lot, but I thought I was past some of this stuff. And then I find myself not being there. I'm not saying it's overly concerning. I'm just saying it just seemed weird to me. But anyway, we'll settle it. How about that? Perfect. Okay, so with that last podcast, again, it'll come together. With that being said, it brought me to a place where I've been asking myself a lot of questions on life. And as we look at the world today, it sometimes seems like we live in a clown world. messed up, and unpredictable. And I'm going to say this because I think this is the part where you see the crazy part of me, but I love metal. I'm not going to apologize for it. And one of the songs that I think is very appropriate theme song for 2026 is from Five Finger Death Punch called Welcome to the Circus. And I'm just going to say this right now. You can go and listen to it.
It's heavy.
It's very heavy, and there is language. So if you are bothered by that, either one of those, the language, the metal,
You can even if you don't like the genre, I encourage you to at least go on like Google and look up the lyrics.
and that's what I was going to say, because if you can't get past the music and you can't get past the words, the thing is this, you've missed the whole point.
Yeah.
You've missed it. Because when I say it is the theme song for 2026, I'm not kidding. When I stopped and listened to the words, I was like, this is where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I didn't know how to feel. Like at times I would laugh, and then I would cry, and then I'm just scared.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know it.
Oh, yeah.
Is that not, am I right?
Oh, yeah, no, it is. I mean, I think it's been the theme song of the last probably 2 or 3 years.
Since 2020?
Yeah.
Where do you start?
Yeah. No, I'm trying really hard not to go on a rant.
I know you're not. Yeah, I know. And there's a point to where we're going with all of this, but okay, we'll keep going. So earlier this week, Brian, I asked your dad, because of the fact that the world is the way it is and has been for a while, I said, do you think our parents experienced the same things that we're experiencing today? And he said, it probably was, but it wasn't as noticeable. And I said, well, what do you think? Or why do you say that? And he said, because when we were growing up, we didn't have internet. Yeah, we had the news, but things were not as out there as they are today.
There wasn't a medium to get it out to everybody.
Exactly. So whether they were living in this clown world, we'll go with, that we're living in today, I'm not saying that those things weren't there. I'm not saying they didn't happen, but they just probably weren't as out there. You know what I'm saying?
Not in your face.
Right. So,
and I think that's the problem
Okay.
with the modern world, is that we have normalized these oddities. We've come to accept them. And of course, I could go into context on what things I'm talking about, but I think the average American knows what I'm talking about when it comes to the craziness that we are experiencing in today's world, the violence, the hatred, the blatant lack of self-respect.
Oh, yes.
And even respect for others.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
It's like we've normalized
Hatred.
We've normalized hatred. We've normalized selfishness, greed. We've normalized disregard of other people's feelings and even to some extent their humanity. And it's so funny how many people I hear that they scream they want the world to change, but they're almost too afraid to change it.
Why?
I think it has a lot to do with the normalization of everything. To them, it's normal.
Okay.
But to somebody like me, being in my 30s and seeing where we came from the early 2000s to now, it's not the same world. And I'm sure it's even more extreme for you. Oh,
it's even worse for me.
And for me, this is why I carry myself the way that I do. I don't tolerate the weird. I don't tolerate the hatred. I don't tolerate the violence. And I think that's the problem, is that because we've normalized it, we're so willing to excuse it.
That makes sense, Brian.
Or it's like, I'm just going to stay on the sidewalk and record the incident rather than do anything, you know? And I see that all the time. and I know I've mentioned this in one of my podcast episodes, but I watch videos of like, you know, police videos of people getting hurt in
Mm-hmm.
in different scenarios, and there's always in the background about 20 to 30 people just standing there holding their phones up recording it. And I'm just like,
Do something.
do you not care? Are you a machine? Like, I could run through hundreds of different things that I've seen, and I'm sure our viewers have probably seen some pretty crazy things too,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was through videos or even in real life. But the last thing I think about when I see something tragic is my phone.
Mm.
That's the last thing I think about. Because to me, life is more important than a machine.
I'm glad you're like that. Because I've often said to you, Brian, I am so sorry for the life that I've left you. And maybe I can sit here and say that I'm partially to blame. But you say you see your life where it is now, and it's hard. Can you imagine me, someone that, in their 50s that grew up in the 80s?
Well,
You want to talk about frickin' clown world.
I can actually give you an example because this happened fairly recently, and I'm sure some of our viewers have probably seen it. But there was a video I watched of a woman walking across the street,
Mm-hmm.
and she almost got hit by an oncoming car. But this guy, bless his heart, ran and grabbed her and literally, like, almost essentially tackled her to the other side of the road to get her out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
She sued him.
I bet he's glad he put his life on the line for her. Yeah,
Thankfully, it was dismissed, but I mean,
I know and maybe that's why, Brian, people don't help people today. But how did we get here?
we have become complacent. I've said that, I think I've said that in some of the really early episodes of our podcast. We became complacent. We became complacent with hatred, violence, and judgment. And the problem is that we are too cowardly to do anything about it.
I think we've come desensitized.
Well, we live in this dream world where people are more worried about the next Disney movie than we are about anything else.
I mean, they see the chaos and the violence, and it's almost like it doesn't affect them. To me, it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening.
This is why I call out hypocrisy, and I even call myself out because, like, I do everything that I can. I'm not afraid of confrontation.
Oh, I know.
And if I hear or see something I don't like, I will stand up for what's right.
And you should.
And I wish there was more people like that. Like, I even have friends who will come to me and be like, Brian, what you said was right, but you probably shouldn't have said it. And I go, why? And they say, because it hurt the other person's feelings. And I'm like, do my feelings not matter?
You gotta wonder, huh?
If I see somebody saying something that is borderline evil, I'm going to confront it.
Mm-hmm. And we should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah. Stand up for the value of life, not for the value of you.
Right.
Because there's context for that. There's a place to value your own self-worth, but not to the point of pride and anger and hatred towards others.
Right.
I don't care how much you disagree with somebody.
Violence
Since
is
when
never.
has violence ever...
Or seeing someone else get hurt for your entertainment.
Yeah.
So we'll keep going. So I know that you've heard this saying before, Brian, that it is prepare for the worst and expect the best. But I think today it is quite the opposite. It's almost like people are surprised when good things happen, but not when they don't. In other words, to me, I think the quote is prepare for the best and expect the worst. And then when something good happens, people are surprised by that because they expect the worst to happen, and when the worst does happen, they're not moved by it anymore.
Well, it's like even with me, with like confronting some things that happened a couple of days ago. Some of my friends had caused a problem themselves, but they wanted me to fix it, and I'm like, Since when is it my responsibility to clean up your mess? And it's not that I wasn't willing to help, it's that they wanted me to do everything. They weren't going to take any accountability.
Oh, no, no, no.
They weren't going to take any personal responsibility. It was, woe is me. Why did this happen? Maybe because you did it. So be a reasonable and respectful human being to yourself and actually make an attempt to fix it. Like, I'll help, but it's not my responsibility to clean up your mess.
But accountability is just not there anymore.
Not in today's world.
No. Why are people so afraid of accountability? I don't get it. If you made the mess, like you said, clean it up.
Yeah, because people are too proud. It's a pride issue. It's like, I couldn't do any wrong, so therefore I'm not going to take any accountability. Again, it's like the police videos I watch. You see it all the time. It's literally, you could probably make a drinking game out of it. From how many times I've seen these people get, arrested, and you hear them say, I didn't do anything wrong. No, you did. Own up to it.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you did something you probably shouldn't have done. Just own up to it and work with your situation to fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it applies in our own lives too. If I make a mistake and I hurt one of my friends, I'm not going to go to them and say, well, I really didn't do anything wrong and what I said wasn't wrong. Get over it. No, I'm not going to do that. Even if I know what I said was technically right, I'm not going to belittle my friend because of it.
Right.
I'm going to show empathy and be like, listen, I'm sorry I said it that way. What can I do to help you?
Right.
How can we move past this together?
Mm-hmm.
And I take responsibility for it. And then that's when you step up and own it and be like, look, I'm not going to expect you to trust me, but I'm going to do everything I can to show you that you can trust me.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes hard truths are good truths, Brian.
Oh,
sometimes you just got to throw it out there.
Context of the situations, yes.
It is.
I'm not saying you need to be so brutally honest that you tear your friend apart, but I'm saying, like, if you know that somebody in your life is not doing themselves any favors, and this has gone into other episodes we've talked about, it's like, it's not your responsibility to clean up their mess.
Right.
Because a lot of times people will take advantage of you.
Well, and they're not learning anything if you fix it.
Exactly. There's no responsibility without accountability.
Right.
So if you do something wrong, then you're going to have to learn that it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows after.
Never is. So we're going to go on. So here's a few of my questions. You ready? Okay. So keep in mind what we've just talked about. So you've said before that everything happens for a reason and everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to. Do you still believe that?
The first part, if I have ever said that, I may have misspoke.
Okay.
Because I don't believe everything happens for a reason. I do believe everything happens the way it's supposed to. Now, I know a lot of people could probably say, what's the difference? The difference is I don't believe that the world throws things at us to just rip us down. I think everything happens the way it's supposed to because it gives you the opportunity to learn from it.
Okay.
And I guess both could apply technically, but when I say everything happens for a reason, it just, to somebody that's really, really having a bad time in their life, it just sounds like the universe is just punishing them.
Right. It's kind of that old saying, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all.
Exactly. So when I say everything happens everything happens the way it's supposed to, that, to me, I know probably, some people probably could see it this way, some people probably couldn't. But when I say that, I always see hope in that. It's almost like you're telling somebody everything will be okay.
Eventually.
Yeah. Things just take time.
Right. And maybe things are working themselves out. Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you this. Do you believe that we are in control of our own destinies?
Do you want... I have two different ways of answering this, but do you want me to answer it my way? Because the other way I have it is probably more grounded.
Say what you need to say. I can't tell you because I don't know either one of your answers.
I believe that destiny is already set in stone,
Okay.
but the road to it is different or can be altered.
Okay. Keep going.
Well, think of it like veins going to your heart. There are hundreds of different pathways you can take to it, but I think ultimately you'll end up there. It's not really about the end of the journey, it's the decisions you made along the way
Okay.
that impact. Because a lot of times when people think about destiny, they think to themselves, well, I don't believe in destiny because I'm in control of my own life. One doesn't have to necessarily mean the other. A destiny to me is the end. Like, you have fulfilled your destiny.
Okay.
To me, your destiny is the journey taken, the decisions made along the way, the paths you take to get to where you currently are.
Okay.
Because you're only living in the moment you're in.
Right.
So
Okay.
your destiny may not even have been fulfilled yet.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, you could ask me, what's my destiny? Mine currently, to me, it's being the person that I wish we had more of in this world. Being a good friend to my friends. Being there for people who need it.
Mm-hmm.
Being brutally honest when I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's those things that I would attribute to my destiny. I don't know what the end of my road has for me.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't matter. How can I worry about tomorrow when it hasn't even happened yet?
True.
So for me, again, when you say destiny, I think of the current moment I'm in
Okay.
and what decisions that I make every moment.
So it kind of reminds me when I was little,
Excuse me.
Mom used to buy these books for me.
Mm-hmm.
And in these books, it would start off with one plot. So let's just go with this one. So like this lady would get off a train. And then at that point, the book could go either way. Like there was two plots in the book that you could follow, or two paths. So you could read the side of the book that would, she got off the train, she would either stay in the town that she got off in, or she would get back on the train and go to another town and something else would happen. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, because the thing is that when you're faced with a double decision like that, how do you know she made
the right decision?
Yeah, how do you know how do you even know she would have made another decision at all? Because you're only living in that moment that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And she made the choice that she made.
Right.
There's no way to determine what could have happened had she gone down the other way.
Right. So with that book, you as the reader has the choice to make that decision for her. Mm-hmm. They're pretty cool. I don't even know if you can get those books anymore. But
Probably not.
Who reads?
We don't have cool things in the world anymore.
Who reads anymore? So that's kind of where, when you were saying that, that's where my mind kind of took me. So my next question is, so we talked about, do you believe in you're in control of your own destiny? So along with that, what happens when other people's decisions change the projection of your life? Is it still the way it was supposed to be?
I could say that that's probably a really good example of what I meant when I said everything happens the way it's supposed to. Because again, you can't dictate whether or not the decision that you made, whether it was made by you or a third party, you can't sit here and say that scenario wasn't going to happen at all. Because what happens in the moment you're in. You're living in that moment. Mm-hmm. So to me, that moment that happened mm-hmm. was already set in place, was already there.
Okay.
It just took you going down the path. Because I even tell that to some of my friends, like when we have our really deep discussions, I was like, every decision that you've made in your life from the day you were born to now is what brought you here.
True. Do you
think about that?
Yeah.
That's a pretty intense thing to think about. Like if you had told me 10, 15 years ago that I would be sitting here doing a podcast, I'd probably look at you like you're crazy. Yeah. But not that this is a bad thing, but
right.
It's just like I never expected it.
It was never a thought.
It was never a thought.
It was never a thing. Yep.
So like when you think about all the decisions that you made that brought you to the moment, like for our audience, if you're sitting on your couch watching this episode, every decision you made brought you to where you're currently at.
I like that. Okay, we're going to keep going. So, with that being said, because I'm building, right? What if you get something you didn't want, expect, or deserve
Well,
in
whoever told you
in
that
that
you would.
journey?
Yeah, whoever told you that you would to get what you wanted or deserved.
Well, nobody
Because this
told
is
me.
well, and see, that's the whole thing, is that we often go through our lives thinking very selfishly of like, I don't deserve this. Whether you deserve it or not is not the point. The point is you got it. What are you going to do with it? That's what I mean when I say that your destiny is being made as you're going,
Is that why sometimes good things happen to bad people?
and vice versa. Nobody's promised or guaranteed anything. We live with this mentality of I don't deserve it. Who said you didn't? Who said you did?
It just is.
Just go with the flow and play the cards you were dealt. It's all about the decision you make with those cards that determine the next step in your journey.
So you never regret any part of your journey?
How could I? Like, let's just say I did. What right do I have to regret it? What does it give me? What do I gain from that regret? No, I learn from the regrets, and if I am faced with a similar scenario, I think back and think I'll handle it differently next time.
Okay.
Because anybody that sits there and tells you that I don't deserve what I got, that's selfish for you to think of. Like, I'm just being brutally honest. There's no other way to put it. Because again, nobody met you in your life and said that you deserve greatness. No, I don't look at it that way. When I look at another human being, I don't think you deserve greatness. I say you are greatness. Act like it.
Okay.
Rise above your scenarios.
I like that.
Because you can be better than the scenarios that brought you to where you're at. You can be better than the luck that brought you down. It's only up to you. You are the greatness, not what you deserve or what you get.
Choice.
Free will.
Okay. We're moving on. So I've heard it said that life is a test. Do you believe that our lives are already predestined?
I think this is going to require going down two different roads. From a Christian perspective, my belief, yes. I believe that my life has been written out. That the decisions that I've made are already seen. They're already set in stone.
Okay.
From a divine perspective. From a non-religious perspective, there's no other way to put it other than you're in the now.
Okay. So you do believe in predestination?
Personally, yes.
Okay.
But for somebody that probably doesn't believe in God or believe in divine destination, I would say that you are living the moment you're in, and your decisions matter because they build your legacy. They build your ideas. Everything that you do forms the world around you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you'll shape the world around you, but it shapes you. Builds an idea of you.
Right.
So you, no matter what, even in divine, like the divine idea, the Christian perspective, I don't live my life thinking that tomorrow has already been written out for me. I still live in the moment I'm in.
Okay.
And I live it to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could say I live a secular lifestyle while knowing that everything will be okay. Because that's, even if it's not okay, it'll be okay.
Wow.
Because tomorrow the sun will always come up.
Okay, we're going to keep going. Okay, so we always say that it always begins with you because you are the most important person in your life. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when others around you don't know or realize that concept?
That they are the most important person in their lives?
So, say I believe that, but you don't.
And be brutally honest, I'm in denial. Because I am the most important person in my life.
But if you didn't know that and I hung around you, you were one of my friends, don't you think that's going to affect my life?
Yeah, and that would be up to you to determine what you do with your own life at that point. If you want to continue to be around somebody like me or not.
So it can change you. It can change your destiny.
Both individuals have a choice. Whether or not it changes their destiny, I don't know. I think that if a scenario like that were to pop up, I'd say that was a stepping stone in your life that you have to determine what path you take. Sometimes you just hit roadblocks with people. You know, if I did have that very depressing idea that I'm not important at all as a human being and neither are you, or if I tried to convince you of the same idea, then why would you want to surround yourself with that?
True.
And you could say, well, maybe I'm trying, like you are trying to make me see life differently. If I refuse to accept it, where do you draw the line?
Exactly. And this is what I want to know from you. That's why I'm asking these questions.
Mm-hmm. I personally would draw the line if they just absolutely refuse to believe. It's kind of the same thing, like, again, going back into the Christian perspective, when I try to tell people about God and they just don't want to hear it, I just stop telling them. What other option do I have?
Right. Yeah, you don't.
You don't push the issue if they don't want to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's their choice.
Right. Exactly. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So I've always said to you, I wish you could have lived in the world that I grew up in. I've said that to you many times. The truth is that the world is very different and not at all what I knew or lived in. So with the many changes, Brian, that you now see, and you've kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, how does one deal with the world that we live in today? How do you do it? I mean, I know you can't compare it to what I lived in because you weren't there.
Again, I follow righteous moral value. You know, if I know something is wrong, I just don't do it. You know, or if I know that standing up for what's right is the right thing to do, then I will do it. You know, that's all I can do. I can sit here and probably think of, there have probably been many times throughout history where it was technically better, but regardless, you know, I'm in the moment I'm in, and it's my responsibility as an individual to make the best out of my personal life.
Where do your moral values come from?
Now, that has several different answers. I guess, give me, like, are you talking about, like, as a person, as an American, as a Christian?
As a person.
As a person. I believe that human life has value. Okay. And I believe that life is sacred and needs to be held to a standard of recognition.
Right.
You know, if I see somebody that's struggling with something, then I'm going to do everything in my power to try to fix said scenario with them. Mm-hmm. I'm not just going to fix it for them and expect them to get away scot-free. But it's like my friend, for example. You know, one of my friends, a good friend of mine, is struggling financially. And they asked me if they could have some money to get a coffee. I did it.
Simple.
I'm not going to go buy them a car, you know, but
right.
You know, it's the small things that really help build up other people.
Right.
And when you share the value of, like, well, if I wanted, you know, something to drink, I would go buy it. What right does my friend have to sit there and suffer if they are genuinely sitting there trying everything in their power to get themselves a job, help get their lives back in order, but they just want a coffee? Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. It's that value I see in them.
I love that. Okay. So life often feels like a constant battle. Mm-hmm. Always trying to find those small wins and happy moments. And those battles get tiring. We've often said everything is a choice, like picking and choosing your battles. I'm sure you've heard the saying, that's just life. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you, is happiness based on perception? Because perception can seem more real than reality itself.
My answer will probably surprise you.
Go ahead.
Happiness is a choice. You can be happy in any scenario. And what do I mean by that?
Okay.
I'm not saying that in the case, like, let's use your thing for an example of what happened to you with your mother. I'm not saying you should have been happy that she passed, but I'm saying, you know that she had a good life. Be happy for that. You know, it's that kind of thing. And it's the same of like acknowledging what you still have around you. You know, it's finding the joy and happiness in those moments of tragedy that we talked about at the beginning of this episode. Or no, that wasn't this episode. That was our TikTok.
That we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
before
from
this
tragedy
episode.
to hope.
Yeah.
We have a new TikTok up, by the way.
We talked a little bit about this when we didn't even. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't planned, but it did kind of tie into this.
But it did.
But that's what I mean. You can choose to be happy, because to me, there's a difference between happiness and joy. Joy is long lasting. Happiness is an emotion that it's choice. You can choose to be angry. You can choose to be sad. You can choose to be happy. What do you choose?
So it's not perception. It's not what you perceive in that situation.
I guess it kind of goes along with choice. Like, I can perceive the happiness in this situation, and I'm going to choose to be happy based on what's around me.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So maybe at the end of the day, it's about balance, knowing what battles are worth fighting and knowing when to step back and take a moment to recover through emotional healing. So before I read our quote to wrap this up, do you have anything else you want to say?
I guess if I was to say anything, kind of going into real quick some of the things that we talked about the world, there's probably a lot of things that we could probably look at that could make us say, man, the world kind of sucks. But does it have to? Do you have to feed into the negativity that's going on around the world right now? Of course you don't. That's a choice that you make to feed into it. For me, I see the wickedness going on in the world. I don't indulge in it. I latch on to the things that matter. You know, the value of life, happiness, caring for other people. Those are the things that I look at. And I encourage our viewers to do the same. Stop indulging in the wickedness that's going on. Don't even pay attention to it. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't do anybody any favors to feed into evil and hatred and violence.
No, it just makes you angry.
And it wears on you. It'll catch up. If you do indulge in it, it will catch up. And I'm not saying it in the sense of karma. I'm saying it will drain your life. And then before you know it, you will be in a place you never thought you would be. You will be tired, miserable, and probably alone.
Yep.
So value the things in life that actually matter. Value your families. Value your friends. Value the differences in your friends and family. Because
there's a big one.
Because someday, that might not be an option. Do you really want to live the life that you live knowing that you could have been better to your friends and family, but you just chose not to because of maybe an opinion they had, or because they lived their lives a little differently than you did, or maybe they did something that you might not agree with? Is it worth it? Obviously, that's a question for you to answer yourself. We're not looking for your answer. We don't want you guys to come to us and say, like, well, this is what I choose. That's up to you.
That's good. So again, a quote from Zachary Fisher.
Whoa.
Now, this is a long one, but it really ties everything in. I told you hang in till the end and it would all make sense. And, but yeah, okay, let's go. So it's called What You're Feeling is Real. Okay. We are in a weird place in humanity right now, and it's hard to ignore. There is definitely a portion of the collective that seems to be rooting for chaos, rooting for failure, almost waiting for things to fall apart. You can feel it in the conversations, in comments, and in the way people react to everything right now. It's like some people don't just expect the worst anymore. They almost need it to happen. Not because they're bad people, but because something deeper is going on. A lot of people are tired, disappointed, and carrying more than they've actually faced. And when that builds up long enough, hope can start to feel fake, and collapse can start to feel honest. So instead of building, they watch. Instead of creating, they criticize. Instead of healing, they project. And over time, they start feeding that very thing they say they don't want. And if we're being real, you can feel how contagious that energy is. It pulls at you. It tries to hook your attention. It wants you to join it, even if it's just through frustration, scrolling, or reacting. At the same time, there are people moving in a completely different direction. They are building, working on themselves, and creating something real, even when it's hard, even when nobody sees it, even when the world feels unstable. That's the part that doesn't get talked about enough, because the loudest energy right now is chaos, but the most powerful energy is still creation. And the truth is, both of those exist inside of all of us. We all feel the pull to check out sometimes, to get bitter, to get caught up in the noise, to stop believing anything good can come from any of this. But we all also have the ability to step back, take ownership, and choose something different. Not once, but daily. Because this isn't really about the world out there. It's about what you are feeding in here. Your attention, your energy, your focus, your words, your actions. Because whatever you feed grows. And right now, that choice matters more than ever. So before you scroll, react, or get pulled into the noise, ask yourself this: am I feeding the chaos, or am I building what comes next?
In a very interesting way, that pretty much sums up what I was trying to say.
I'm that's why I said what you were saying, this will wrap it. I mean, we could have said that whole thing and been done with the whole podcast, but, we need some context to it, right?
Yeah.
But isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
It's choice. What are you going to do from here?
It's all about choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to indulge in the madness, or you can choose to be the difference that destroys it.
Yep, exactly.
That's up to you.
Hopefully we all choose wisely.
As long as we all do our part, we can keep the good in the world alive.
Yeah.
I've said this quote before, and I wish I could remember who said it. Maybe somebody who watches knows. But the only thing it takes for evil to prosper is for good people to do nothing.
Yeah, it's true. True. So before we end, I'm going to read our quote. Believe in yourself, be patient with yourself, and know your best is always good enough. Know that we can be found on many different platforms like YouTube, Spotify, X, and Apple. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on any notifications so you don't miss any podcasts. Our email is giveemheck@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook at Give 'em Heck Podcast, and now we have a TikTok at Give 'em Heck Official. And you can join any one of those to find out any information or anything like that. We should be doing another podcast next week. Cross your fingers. And as far as I know right now, I'm going to say yes, next weekend is a go. So
awesome.
Do you have anything else?
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. The video cut out for some reason. It did that last week too, which I also want to apologize for. Not last week, but the last video we uploaded, it just stopped recording. I don't really understand why. But so you asked if I had anything else, or if I had anything I wanted to add. Yes, I want to really emphasize to people that in this modern day and age, we often get lost in the chaos and tragedy. I encourage you as an individual to reflect on those things and say, do you really want to be a part of it? I would say it's better to dwell on the happiness of life the things that matter, your friends and family. Stop indulging in the evil that you see in the world, the mainstream media, all of the even social media that seems to revolve so heavily around violence, evil, destruction, and chaos. Don't indulge in it. Worry about what matters. Because the friends and family that think differently than you, that have different life decisions than you, that value, you might find that they value a lot of the same things you do. But if you focus on the negatives, someday you might not be able to enjoy the pleasure of having them around. Do we really want to be those people? Or do we want to stand up for what's right? To stop feeding into it. Because for me, I look at those things and I don't want anything to do with it. I condemn it. And I think that's the problem in today's world, is we don't condemn it enough.
Right. Yep, exactly.
So I guess in my closing, be the difference that you want so desperately to see. Because you're the only one that can make that difference.
Right. Right. So I'm going to read a quote from Zachary Fisher. Again, I love his quotes, and it fits in with everything that we've talked about today. So it says, "What you're feeling is real. We are in a weird place in humanity right now, and it's hard to ignore. There is definitely a portion of the collective that seems to be rooting for chaos, rooting for failure, almost waiting for things to fall apart. You can feel it in conversations, in comments, and in the way that people react to everything now. It's like some people don't just expect the worst anymore, they almost need it to happen. Not because they're bad people, but because something deeper is going on. A lot of people are tired, disappointed, and carrying more than they've actually faced. And when that builds up long enough, hope can start to feel fake, and collapse can start to feel honest. So instead of building, they watch. Instead of creating, they criticize. Instead of healing, they project. And over time, they start feeding the very thing they say they don't want. And if we're being real, you can feel how contagious that energy is. It pulls at you. It tries to hook your attention. It wants you to join it, even if it's just through frustration, scrolling, or reacting. At the same time, there are people moving in a completely different direction. They are building, working on themselves, and creating something real. Even when it's hard, even when nobody sees it, even when the world feels unstable, that's the part that doesn't get talked about enough, because the loudest energy right now is chaos, but the most powerful energy is still creation. And the truth is, both of those exist inside of all of us. We all feel the pull to check out sometimes, to get bitter, to get caught up in the noise, to stop believing anything good can come from any of this. But we also have the ability to step back, take ownership, and choose something different, not once, but daily. Because this isn't really about the world out there, it's about what you are feeding in here. Your attention, your energy, your focus, your words, your actions. Because whatever you feed grows. And right now, that choice matters more than ever. So before you scroll, react, or get pulled into the noise, ask yourself this: am I feeding the chaos, or am I building what comes next?
That's basically what I was trying to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read our quote. Believe in yourself, be patient with yourself, and know that your best is always good enough. And know that we can be found on many different platforms like YouTube, Spotify, X, and Apple. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on any notifications so you don't miss another episode. Our email is giveemheck@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook at Give 'em Heck Podcast and a TikTok at Give 'em Heck Official. And you can join us on any of those platforms to follow us or find out any information about us. Yes. And next week we should be having another podcast. As far as I know right now, I'm going to say that will happen. And that's all I have for tonight.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and have yourselves a great evening. Goodbye, everyone.
Good night.